Be ready to get out. Be ready because she's looking.
Yeah,
she's looking.
going.
She wants to play fast. Super early.
The 2025 WNBA season has been anything but quiet for the Indiana Fever. Between the hype, the injuries, and the noise surrounding Caitlin Clark, one thing became clear: this wasn't going to be an easy ride. And when Aaliyah Boston sat down with Sue Bird for a candid conversation, she didn't hide behind media-trained answers or pre-written talking points. She spoke with honesty, clarity, and a calm confidence that only comes from living the chaos yourself. Boston's words weren't the usual PR fluff. They were raw and grounded, pulling back the curtain on what it's really like to share the floor and the spotlight with one of the most hyped rookies women's basketball has ever seen. From the outside, fans expected magic from day one. Clark, the college phenom turned professional sensation, was supposed to transform Indiana overnight. But inside the locker room, the truth was far more human. Boston admitted it's been a frustrating year not just for Caitlin but for the team as a whole. Injuries piled up. Rotations changed. Players came and went. The chemistry, as Boston put it, felt like it was constantly starting and stopping. But through it all, she reminded everyone of one core message: next woman up. That mindset, the idea that no matter what happens, the team keeps moving forward, became their anchor. When Sue Bird asked how it felt to shift from being the hunters to suddenly becoming the hunted, Boston didn't hesitate. She said it was expected. From the moment Clark joined, every opponent circled Indiana's name on their schedule. Expectations skyrocketed overnight. What used to be a rebuilding project was now treated like a championship contender. And when the team stumbled, critics were ready to pounce. But Boston's insight hit deeper than frustration. She explained that those expectations weren't just Caitlin's burden, they belonged to everyone in the locker room. The moment Clark arrived, every player's performance became part of a bigger narrative. Wins were credited to her. Losses were blamed on chemistry. And Boston, who had already established herself as Rookie of the Year and a rising WNBA star, suddenly found herself being judged not on her growth, but on how perfectly she could sync with her new teammate.
Where it's like, you're getting to know each other, to now it's like, oh, they could win the whole thing.
Yeah.
So what was the experience of...
People didn't give us that grace period, Boston said. And she's right. Chemistry takes time. Even the NBA's greatest teams needed months to figure things out. But social media doesn't do patience. Every awkward possession, every missed pass between Boston and Clark became a viral clip. Fans and critics alike were quick to spin it into drama. Can they really play together? Is Boston being overshadowed? But in reality, it was just two elite athletes learning each other's rhythm. Boston didn't shy away from those early struggles. She admitted there were moments where she didn't anticipate Clark's lightning-fast passes or couldn't quite read her intent. But over time, she started to catch on. She began recognizing the subtle cues, the way Clark lifted her head before threading a pass, the angle of her feet, the pace of her dribble. Without words, Boston started to know when the ball was coming. That's what real chemistry looks like, not perfection, but progress born from repetition and trust. It's easy to forget that Boston is just 23. Her poise during the conversation showed a level of maturity that many veterans struggle to find. She acknowledged the noise, the trolls, the fans calling her the worst big online. But rather than lash out, she simply said she already holds herself to a higher standard than any stranger on the internet ever could. The criticism hurts, but it doesn't define her. She knows what she brings, and she knows where she's headed. And she was just as honest about Clark. There was no resentment, no envy, no passive-aggressive undertones. In fact, Boston praised Caitlin's vision as phenomenal. She said once you play enough with her, you can literally see the pass coming through her eyes. That level of awareness, she said, forces her to elevate her own game. It challenges her to be sharper, quicker, more decisive, and that's something she embraces, not resents. What makes this interview so powerful isn't just what Boston said, it's how she said it. Calm. Grounded. Reflective. She wasn't trying to stir headlines, she was trying to set the record straight. The Fever aren't failing. They're learning. They're growing. And they're doing it under one of the brightest spotlights in sports. When Sue Bird pressed about the impact of Clark's fame, Boston acknowledged both sides of the coin. Yes, the attention is overwhelming at times. Yes, it magnifies mistakes and heightens pressure. But it also brings eyes to the league. It fills arenas. It puts women's basketball on primetime TV. And Boston, ever the competitor, said she sees the value in that. It lifts everyone, she noted. Because every camera pointed at Caitlin Clark is also capturing the rest of the fever, and every little girl watching at home who sees Aaliyah Boston dominating the paint is proof of what representation can do. What truly stands out, though, is Boston's perspective on leadership.
So entering year 3 for you, which is this year, as you said.
She's not trying to control the narrative. She's trying to embody it. Her words reflected a quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to scream to be heard. When she said, "Whoever's here, we're here to hoop," it wasn't just about basketball. It was about resilience, about unity, about weathering the storm together. And when you remember where she came from, her mindset makes even more sense. Growing up in St. Thomas, Boston didn't have the luxury of indoor courts or elite training camps. She played outdoors, often against boys, fighting for every bucket under the blazing Caribbean sun. That kind of upbringing builds more than skill, it builds grit. So when people doubt her now, it barely registers. She's been doubted before. And every time she's proved them wrong. This is why Boston's words about Clark and the fever as a whole matter. She's not interested in fan narratives or media-fueled rivalries. She's interested in the truth, that greatness takes time, chemistry takes work, and no one succeeds alone. She understands that Caitlin Clark is a phenomenon, but she also knows the fever aren't a one-woman show. They're a team, evolving, finding their rhythm, and proving that the journey is just as important as the destination. By the end of the conversation, Sue Bird's respect was clear. Boston had peeled back every layer, the pressure, the frustration, the growth, without bitterness or excuses. Just honesty. That's rare in a world obsessed with sound bites and viral takes. But Aaliyah Boston doesn't need a headline. Her game, her leadership, and her authenticity say enough. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Caitlin Clark or Aaliyah Boston. It's about what happens when expectation meets reality, when the noise gets loud but the players stay focused. The fever's story is still being written, but if Boston's words are any sign, it's going to be one worth following all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit the like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more breakdowns like this one. What did you think of Aaliyah Boston's comments? Was she being too honest, or just saying what needed to be said? Let's talk about it, and stay tuned for more from the world of the WNBA.